Yeah, that shit work. What up, Haplo? What's up, man? How you doing, bro? How you doing, bro? Hey, shout out to 1-2 Kid for my little intro video there. That shit was hype. Um, I'm glad it worked. I like that shit. Hey, I'm not gonna be on long, man. I mean, I haven't been doing no streams lately because, to be honest with you, boxing has been very disappointing to me as of late. And to be honest, I got a lot of real life shit I'm dealing with right now. A lot of stressful situations happening in my life right now. But I just thought maybe I would come through and talk with y'all a little bit, you know, maybe just try getting mine off of real life for a second and talk about this debacle of a sport called boxing. John Dealey in the house, the man from Birmingham who does backflips and all of that. UGC in the house, the man himself. So yeah, I ain't gonna be on for as long as usual. But yeah, man, y'all just keep me company before I go home and get back to my real life bullshit. So yeah. The first thing I want to talk about really is every now and again, I go into boxing Twitter. And these days it seems like the British public, or not really the British public, the boxing Twitter public seemingly wants to put a lot of pressure on Matchroom, right? And in particular, I realized something the other day where you have Conor Benn. Apparently, he's supposedly scheduled to fight Chris Van Heerden, or Van Heerden has accepted the fight according to Eddie Hearn. If nobody else accepts it, he'll get the fight. Peace, 1-2 Kid. Hey, 1-2, I just played the intro you made for me, man. It's real nice, man. I appreciate it. And so Chris Van Heerden's last fight was in 2019. He didn't fight during the COVID time. And his last fight was against Jaron Ennis, the guy who everybody is pretty much has pretty much anointed as the next one up. And the fight ended in I think a no contest, clash of heads or something. And that was it. He didn't fight again until recently. Well, he's not going to fight again until he fights Conor Benn. And you see this sort of outrage, this sort of frothing, disrespectful outrage on boxing Twitter from the British public, so-called British public, boxing public. Oh, Eddie Hearn is putting Conor Benn to fight bums. He's ducking David Avenisian. Avenisian would do this. Avenisian would do that. He's ducking him. Oh, Conor Benn is shit. All this nonsense. And then, like I've said before, I think I said before on a stream that David Avenisian is a curious guy. Here is a guy who's been European champion for quite a long time, but somehow finds himself in a situation where his whole career is now based around fighting prospects. He had like a fight or two with Eddie Hearn on Matchroom. The last fight is when he beat up Josh Kelly. And then he left right after that to go sign with Frank Warren at Queensberry. He had a bum fight over there. And since that time, Frank Warren and them have pretty much based their whole thing on the Conor Benn fight. Conor Benn. So Frank Warren and David Avenisian's other man, I think it's Neil Marsh, his name is, has pretty much put a battery in his back and making this whole thing about Conor Benn ducking David Avenisian, and it's this and it's that, and Conor Benn ain't shit. David Avenisian is a mid-30s fighter, European champion, who apparently turned down a title eliminator with Eddie Hearn because he wanted a lighter touch, or the Conor Benn fight. I find it ridiculous that David Avenisian is allowing himself to be played by people like Frank Warren and not pushing this guy to get world level fights? Why is this guy somehow being, being put up as some bogeyman in this division? Before I go on anymore, let me drop the link. The link is there for anybody who want to come in. No, Conor benn is supposedly going to fight Chris Van Heerden. Let's pull up Chris Van Heerden's record. Let's pull it up. So here you have Chris Van Heerden. Chris Van Heerden is 28-2, 1 loss by knockout, 12 KOs in his wins. And his last fight, as I said, was against Jaron Ennis. Otherwise than that, he's fought pretty basic competition. His other loss was against Errol Spence Jr. So his and the other loss was against some guy called Stevanovic. I don't know who this person is, back in 2010. After that, he went on his winning streak in South Africa, some fights in America, etc., etc., against people with 23-3 records, 20-0, 26-4, 35-17, these types of people. And then he tried to fight Jaron Ennis in 2019, and it was a no decision because of a head clash or something. Now, again, this is 28-2, Chris Van Heerden. I'm not sure how old he is. I think he's 30-something also. And this is the person that Conor benn is supposed to be fighting next. Conor benn wanted a higher profile fight. He didn't get the higher profile fight. Maurice Hooker said he's injured, and Broner hasn't sorted out his shit with PBC yet. I think this is a good stay busy fight for him. It ain't no big fight. It's an all right fight. And Conor benn continues to build. But you saw this indecent outcry from people, so-called fans, and even people like Sam Jones, big boxing manager, guy who's now with Pro Bellum, aka MTK, aka the Keenahan family. He comes out and he lambastes Conor benn. Mr. Dealey, what's up, man?
Good evening, afternoon.
How you doing, man? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
I'm all right. Let me just get on Sam Jones here and show what Sam Jones said about Conor benn announcing his fight. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Here's Mr. Sam Jones. So Sam Jones sees the fight announcement. This is the fight announcement here, by the way. I don't know why it's unavailable. And he retorts, Rashidi Ellis is available, Avenisian is available, and Florian Marco is available. Rashidi Ellis is with Golden Boy, and God knows what he's doing these days. I haven't seen this dude fight in a long time. Florian Marco was with Eddie, signed with Boxer at the behest of Sam Jones. Avenisian was with Eddie, signed with Queensberry, only for these two people to turn around to be calling out Conor benn. Again, David Avenison is 30-something years old. Let's pull up his record. Just like Van Heerden. David Avenisian is 28 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 16 KOs, 16 KOs for the win, 1 KO loss. And let's look at the people he lost to. Kavliauskas, Lamont Peterson, and his second fight in his career, which we're not going to go that far, but so the 2 times he stepped up world level, he lost. He lost. His biggest win, biggest name is Shane Mosley. This was Shane Mosley's last fight ever in his career. He beat a completely over the hill Shane Mosley in what number fight was this for him? Some high ass number of fights he had, and he fought Shane Mosley. Now, if you listen to people, Conor benn only fights old guys. But here is David Avenisian fighting Shane Mosley in his last fight in his career. Then he fights Lamont Peterson, loses. Fights this person, wins on points. Goes to Kavliauskas, world level, loses. And then he beats Leheraja for the European belt. It's really disappointing that we have to be here talking about this fight, because who is David Avenisian going to fight next? No, I want to tell you, Sam Jones shitted on it, 254 likes, and all these people liking it, blah, blah, blah. But what do you see come up next? Who's David Avenisian going to fight next? Let's see. David Avenisian is about to go fight and defend his European welterweight title versus Oskari Metz. Who is Oskari Metz? This dude. 15-0. 184 in the world. Finnish guy. This dude is David Avenisian's next fight. And you don't see Sam Jones here. You don't see any frothing outrage, as you can see. Where's the frothing condemnation of this fight? Where is it? No outrage. So Conor benn is about to go fight a dude who is, 20-something fights in, Chris Van Heerden. Not a great fight. Nobody's marketing there's no great fight. And people were outraged at that. David Avenisian is about to go fight a guy, 15 fights, 184 in the world. And that's cool with everybody. But Conor benn is the guy who's the problem here. John Dealey, what's your opinion on this, in my opinion, hypocrisy?
I think it's just Frank Warren media propaganda. Sam Jones is associated with MTK, so therefore there's a large association with Frank and MTK. On top of that, if you notice, a lot of the British press is very pro Frank Warren and anti-Eddie Hearn. And the EJ have been interested in
You there, John?
I just got told off by the police.
Oh. John almost.
I'm driving.
John almost got hauled in.
Well, I don't know if they've got the authority to haul me in. There's just somebody in a van, but he's told me I've got to put my phone in the footwell, so I can't mute it at the moment. No. Anyway, it's all right. I'm just driving, you see. EJ said something really interesting on Rafi's a couple of weeks ago, that when Audley was trying to establish himself as a promoter and everything else that he was trying to do, Frank Warren, who has a huge sway over the British media, conducted a smear campaign against him in the British media. And if you notice, anything Eddie does, it gets a huge section of the British press kind of smearing it. And I just think this is because Frank Warren's got an undue amount of sway there. He's part of a sort of pretty corrupt old guard of British boxing.
I just find it, you know, I didn't really pay it no mind at first, but then after a while, you can't miss it. Because I'm like, what is happening here? David Avenisian, a guy who should be trying to fight world level, is back here trying to fight prospects. You leave Matchroom, who he comes out, try to get you into a world title eliminator. You turn that down to go to Queensberry, only to turn around to call out Conor benn. Why isn't
I think it's a fake call out, to be honest, because a lot of the time people on the other side of the fence here will call out a matchroom fighter to get in the press. No intention of actually fighting him, and then go and fight somebody else. Just typical bait and switch.
Well, I get that, but it's like, I don't know what's happened all of a sudden where all the people think Avenisian is some killer. I'm like, I watched the Josh Kelly fight. I think Josh Kelly is terrible. I don't rate Josh Kelly at all. Everybody knows that. I think Josh Kelly is awful. I hate his fighting style, and he thinks he's better than he is. But if you watch that fight early on, before Josh Kelly's stamina bar ran down, if you watch that fight, Josh Kelly was beating the dog shit out of David Avenisian. Had him skating around the ring and all this shit. And I don't rate Josh Kelly. But it's just interesting how a man basically is building a cottage industry off of calling out prospects. Frank Warren apparently has, from what I've seen in my research today, has the British welterweight champion over there. Why isn't Frank Warren having David Avenisian? Since David Avenisian has given up on world level, apparently. He's no longer world level. He understands his level now. He's just European only, and his only hope is to stick around and fight these prospects. Well, fight the welterweight champion over there. I saw Eddie Hearn put Ted Cheeseman in there with Garcia. Cheeseman got schooled, but he did it anyway. It's just interesting to me. You know, and you have this British public that somehow is buying into this nonsense. This is why I tell people I don't buy into this whole shit about, you know, one set of boxing fans are more intelligent than the other. Because you see some of the same biases. You see some of the same clannishness and the same insularity. Conor benn coming up is about to go fight Chris Van Heerden. He fought Algieri last time. That was his best win, Algieri. Shane Mosley fought his last fight against David Avenisian. And that was David Avenisian's best win. Biggest name on his record. When he tried to step up to world level again, actual world against Lamont Peterson and these people, he lost. Yet somehow he's this bogeyman. Anywho, I just wanted to say people like Sam Jones and them, you take this fraud, Florian Marco, a guy who promises everybody he's going to knock everybody out and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. Terrible fighter. And you take him to boxer. And then to turn around to call out Conor benn. Really, Sam Jones, really. It's just interesting to me. But that's just my observations, John Dealey, on that topic.
You've just got to lump them in with the people that support Fury. It's pretty much the same sections of the British public. I think that's the easiest way to explain it.
I guess so. But I just wanted to show the stark difference. So after they shitted on Conor benn for his opponent, turns out Conor benn is fighting a better opponent than David Avenisian. Next fight. Turns out.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you think about it in the same vein as Fury, they talk a whole heap of smack, and then when you analyse what they do, they're actually worse pretty much every time.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I'm lumping them in with Fury. It's like it's the same. Oh, I'll say whatever the hell I want and do whatever the hell I want, and just think I'm going to get away with it.
What's interesting though is that, as you said, what I find most interesting is that boxing. I've always said boxing doesn't have media. Boxing doesn't have any real writers left, and I'll get to that in a second. Whenever I watch any clips of boxing talk, it usually comes via Talk Sport. And there's this guy called Simon Jordan. I don't know if he's supposed to be like this tough talking, stiff upper lip English commentator, whatever. But he just comes off like a real hater. And he usually tries to shit on whatever any matchroom fighter does. And it's like, is that what's happening in the UK now? We're basically matchroom, and hey, I'm not a UK fight fan. I'm not from the UK, but I'm not blind. I saw matchroom pretty much dig British boxing out the goddamn dirt. That's what I saw. But anyway.
Talk Sport is a Frank Warren mouthpiece.
Is it?
As far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I don't really ever listen to it. It's as far as I'm concerned, that's my take on it. The amount of pro Frank Warren interviews they do, it's like IFL. Whenever they interview Frank, they're pretty much on their knees, kissing his ring or something else.
Yeah, I've tend to stay away from IFL these last days, but that's just my observation on that.
I've unsubscribed to them. I can't hack them at all. They're just so them and Boxing Social. I really can't deal with them at all. I don't listen to them.
Yeah, I've really been trying to stay away from a bunch of this shit. Reality's Voice says, I've not heard any boxing fans bashing Ben, only fake fanboys of promotional companies. That's the issue, right? Some of these guys, you have an issue where a lot of these people who are fake fanboys of promotional companies are actually people who are in the media. And it's like, you have Conor Ben, a guy who's actually just coming up, doesn't have any amateur experience, nothing, literally learning. And when I first saw Conor Ben, I didn't think he was shit. But the young man is putting in the effort. And from where I remember seeing Conor Ben to where he is now, he's done well.
I mean, he's always been better than Campbell Hatton.
That's not hard to be. I'm better than Campbell Hatton.
No, I agree. But we've had the same process with him, that we've had to watch fights that really should not have been televised because he had no amateur experience, which I wasn't overly happy with. But as he's progressed, he's now in entertaining fights. But at best, he's like a British level prospect. He's not. He's just getting called out because of name value.
Yeah. Toby Bartlett says, didn't Conor's
But then Conor's been running his mouth off. He's called out.
What's that, John? Is John gone? That Birmingham public Wi-Fi let John down. Anywho. Toby, Conor's next opponent, I think, fought Boots. I think his next opponent fought. John, you there, man?
Hello?
Yeah, John. Oh, God. John Dealey's gone. The Birmingham data betrayed my friend John Dealey. In case he comes back, here's the link. Anybody else want to get in with me? We're discussing hypocrisy in boxing. And we're going to move just now into, oh, John's back. My Birmingham correspondent, Mr. Dealey, back in full effect. John.
What I was saying is Conor's been running his mouth up a bit as well, though, lately. He called out Chris Eubank at catch weight. So don't do that.
Yeah, he kind of seems to be a guy who thinks very highly of himself and he needs to relax a little bit. Seems to be very high-strung type of guy. And I don't believe in no catch weight. In my opinion, if you're gonna call out Chris Eubank, he's at 160. You better then go to 160. That's my opinion. I don't.
Connor's not a big welterweight. Connor's a
No,
small welterweight. So he
he's
needs
not.
to just settle down. Like, you're gonna make yourself look like you've got little man problems if you keep talking like that.
Yeah. Nah, he also talks a lot too, but he just needs to work on his craft and relax. You're gonna get there. Just relax, sir. Please be very careful because you get pushed up too quick. You get a Josh Kelly hiding. Look here. Toby says Umar Ahmed is pro Frank Warren. Eddie Coleman. You could be pro whatever you want. Just do your job properly. But it's not the first time I've heard Eddie Hearn. I remember about 3-4 years ago, he asked the dude from Boxing Social if it's true that certain promoters make them edit videos and take shit out. This is about 4 years ago. I remember this quite well. And it's true. Like, this guy's, he's not asking about to edit no videos, but whatever. He could be pro whatever he wants. Just do your job. We don't want your biases getting in the way of the interview. Just do the interview and that's it. Anywho, after Conor Benn, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Conor Benn is going to fight a better opponent than this dog, David Avenisian, this danger man, David Avenisian, fighting a 15-0, 184 in the world ranked guy. Get the F out of here, man. Anywho, Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, Super Mario. I wanna say that I'm a bit disappointed that Mike Coppinger's sources suddenly stopped working. Seems like his sources don't work on these poor pay-per-views.
They can't report anything less than 50 buys.
Mike Coppinger apparently doesn't have any sources now. He didn't report on Ortiz versus Martin. He didn't report on Tank's last pay-per-view. Didn't report on he didn't report on Thurman versus Barrios. And for some reason, he stopped reporting altogether. No more 300,000, 400,000. Sources say 400,000. No more that. But from what somebody, I think it's Keith Idek on Twitter said, he's hearing that Keith Thurman shit did a lot less than Porter versus Crawford. Did just about half that. And people said that thing did about 190-something thousand buys, Porter versus Crawford. Thurman versus Barrios apparently did under 100,000 buys. And again, the boxing media is silent on this. They don't want to speak up on this. They don't want to speak up on the fact that these nonsense pay-per-views are flopping left, right, and center. They don't want to talk about it. Normally, I wouldn't care about who buys the fight, but it's just interesting to me how boxing media seems to go quiet on certain companies and don't just report the facts. This is why I always say boxing doesn't have any real writers left. They don't have any media. Max Kellerman does basketball now, doesn't do media no more. Ring Magazine has people like Mikey Montero and these people writing for them. All of these writers are pretty much hitched on to one promotional company or the other. Why aren't we talking about the fact that Mario Barrios and Keith Thurman went wood? Didn't do 100,000 buys. And as such proves that people simply don't have time for the bullshit. I want to congratulate the boxing public for not supporting that debacle. Teach these guys a lesson. Teach these fighters a lesson that you don't get to ask for big money and your promoter has to put that shit on pay-per-view. Your promoter is now forced to put that shit on pay-per-view because they can't afford to pay your overpriced ass. Again, congratulations to the boxing public for not buying that fight. Man, I'm telling you, Fight Doctor, it's crazy. Exactly, Toby. Van Heerden last fought Boots Ennis, but now Conor Benn's fighting a bum. Okay. That's how it goes. Normally I wouldn't care about these things, but I just find the hypocrisy staggering, really staggering. Conor Benn's fighting Chris Van Heerden. He's ducking avenisian according to Sam Jones and the rest of these idiots. David Avenisian is fighting, what's the guy's name? Oskari Metz from Finland. 184 in the wall or some shit. This guy fought, 3 times outside of Finland. And this is shit that we got to deal with. I want to just tell Conor Ben, go out there, get a good fight in with Van Heerden, a good run-out fight, and don't worry about these hypocrites in England. You do your job. You continue building. What else is on the plate, man? What else is on the plate? What's on your mind? Oh, so Canelo is back in the news, of course. And he's apparently considering 2-fight deal with DAZN, apparently for 85 mil or some. And of course, Mike Coppinger is saying the deal is done. Eddie Hearn said the deal is not done. We're just talking still. Nothing has been accepted. And it comes out again, Eddie Reynoso said, we haven't accepted any deal. But Mike Coppinger, the deal's done. Canelo was supposed to fight Jamal Charlo in what I consider to be a tune-up. I think the Jamal Charlo fight is a much easier fight for Canelo. Much easier. That's a tune-up. That is the epitome of a tune-up. That is Canelo's Oskari Metz. But if PBC doesn't get the Canelo fight this year and he signs that 2-fight deal with DAZN, why then shouldn't PBC head straight into saving that money and head straight into a Crawford-Spence undisputed fight, since you don't have to pay out another $40 million to Canelo? You can take that money and spend some of that on Crawford and Spence. That's just how I see it. Sometimes when you have these big fighters, they take up a lot of your budget and it prevents you from making a lot of fights. It really stunts your schedule. And all I'm saying is, if you don't have to pay Canelo this money, why not invest that money into your other fighters? But that makes too much sense, right? Red Glove, you're a hater, man. You from Miami and you didn't support Keith. You from Florida, you didn't support Keith. You're a hater. You don't support the hometown people. Anyway, I just really got on to talk about that shit, about Conor Ben and this David Avenisian nonsense. David Avenisian, this fake boogeyman, fighting some dude named Oscar Metz from Finland, 15-0. And his fanboys ain't saying shit. I don't want to intimate anything else other than people just hating on Conor Ben, but it seems strange that these people are in love with this Avenisian clown, a guy who every time he stepped up world level got his ass whooped. So now he settled himself into domestic levels and fighting the always tough Oscar Metz. Oscar looks like somebody who should be serving me serving me some sort of veggie wrap at an organic restaurant. Let me get a veggie wrap with baked potatoes and freshly squeezed watermelon juice or whatever. That's who Oscar Metz looks like. And that's David Avenisian's next fight. Anywho, I want y'all to be easy. Have a great day. Enjoy the weekend. That's all from me. The Danny Jacobs fight is tomorrow. I don't know who's going to win that fight because Danny hasn't been looking great. And I've only seen John Ryder fight once. But I'm going to watch the card anyway. It's going to be all right. I'm looking forward to watching this Felix Cash guy fight. I watched him beat the dog shit out of Denzel Bentley. So I want to see if Felix Cash is really the goods. I want to see him fight. And that's what we're looking forward to. I can't call a Danny Jacobs fight because, again, Danny hasn't been looking good. He made his big money versus Canelo and he turned Hollywood. And then I haven't seen John Ryder fight other than once. Y'all be easy, man. Have a great weekend. Thank y'all for keeping me company today. And take care of yourselves, all right? Peace out.